You thought it was random, but it wasn't. That person who entered your life, the one you couldn't stop thinking about, the one who made your heart shift without permission. What if I told you God saw it all from the beginning? Every message, every late-night thought, every emotional attachment growing inside you. And still, He didn't stop it. Not because He was unaware, not because He was absent, but because something deeper was happening beyond your understanding. Because sometimes what feels like the beginning of love is actually the beginning of a lesson you were never going to learn any other way. And if you stay with me until the end of this video, you will understand why God allowed something that broke you, changed you, and confused you, and how it was never meant to destroy you, but to awaken you. There are moments in life that don't announce themselves. They simply arrive and change everything without asking for permission. Love is one of those moments. It doesn't follow logic, it doesn't respect timing, and it doesn't wait for readiness. One day you are just living your normal life, focused on your routine, your goals, your plans. And the next day, someone enters your world, and suddenly everything feels different. You didn't plan it, you didn't calculate it, and if you are honest with yourself, you never even thought this person would matter this deeply. But somehow, without your permission, your heart begins to move in a direction you cannot control. Thoughts of them start appearing in quiet moments. Their presence begins to affect your mood. Even their absence starts to feel heavier than expected. And slowly, without realizing it, you are no longer the same person you were before you met them. But this is where the confusion begins. Because if God knows everything, if He sees the beginning and the end, if nothing in your life is hidden from His knowledge, then why did He allow this? Why didn't He stop it before it got this deep? Why didn't He block the connection before your emotions became attached? Why didn't He close the door before your heart stepped inside something that might later break it? These questions don't just appear once. They echo in the mind during silence, in lonely moments, in the nights when you are left thinking about what went wrong or why something so intense had to happen in the first place. It feels like a contradiction, a loving God who knows pain, yet allows you to walk into something that may lead to it. And yet, what we often fail to understand in that moment is that not every allowed path is a permanent path. Not everything God permits is something He is endorsing forever. Sometimes, He allows you to feel something deeply, not to destroy you, but to reveal something in you, to show you parts of your heart you never paid attention to expose emotional patterns you never questioned, to teach you the difference between attachment and true connection. Because if God stopped every emotional experience before it reached you, you would never understand your own heart, your own vulnerabilities, or your own boundaries. So the real question is not just, why didn't God stop it, but what was God trying to show me through it? Many people assume that if something becomes painful later in life, it must have been a mistake from the very beginning. They look back at moments of emotional intensity, failed connections, or broken relationships, and instantly label them as wrong timing or bad decisions. But life, especially spiritual life, is far more complex than that. Not everything that ends in pain was meaningless from the start. Sometimes what hurts you later was actually meant to shape you earlier. But silence is not absence. Just because God did not interrupt something in the moment does not mean He was unaware of it. It does not mean He was distant, disconnected, or careless about what you were going through. In fact, there are moments when divine silence carries more purpose than immediate intervention. Because in that silence, something deeper is unfolding within you. Something that cannot be taught through words, warnings, or external protection alone. Just because God didn't stop it doesn't mean He ignored it. It means He allowed you to experience something that would later become understanding. Sometimes protection doesn't look like prevention, it looks like permission. Permission to go through something that reveals your emotional strength, your weaknesses, your attachments, and your boundaries. Because without experience, there is no real growth. Without emotional exposure, there is no true awareness of what you need to heal. Sometimes God allows what He does not approve of forever, not because He has changed His will, but because there is a lesson hidden inside the experience itself. Not every allowed path is a permanent path. Some doors are opened only for a season, not a lifetime. Some people enter your life not to stay, but to teach. And some journeys are not destinations you are meant to reach, but classrooms where your heart is reshaped, refined, and awakened for what comes next. That love didn't just make you happy. It exposed you. At first, it feels like something beautiful, something rare, something you finally waited for after so long. It brings excitement, emotional warmth, and a sense of meaning that seems almost divine. But as time passes, you begin to realize that it was not only giving you feelings, it was revealing truths about yourself that you had never faced before. Love, in its deepest form, does not only comfort you, it confronts you. It shows you what is hidden beneath your emotions when you are no longer in control of them. It showed you how deeply you can feel, even for someone you barely understood at the beginning. It revealed how quickly your heart can attach itself when it finds emotional connection, even if logic is still catching up. It made you realize how easily you can ignore red flags when your emotions are louder than your awareness. And perhaps most importantly, it exposed how much control your feelings can have over your decisions when you are not grounded in clarity. Things you thought you would never tolerate suddenly became acceptable in the name of love. And the most powerful part is that you didn't always notice it while it was happening. You only understood it later, when distance, silence, or pain forced you to reflect. In that reflection, you started to see yourself more clearly, not just the version of you who loved, but the version of you who lost control while loving. Because not all love stories are meant to last. Some are not designed for forever, and that is where the misunderstanding begins. Some connections are temporary, but their purpose is permanent. They are meant to reveal who you truly are when your heart is open, when your emotions are vulnerable, and when your boundaries are tested. And in that revelation, you are being prepared for something far more stable, far more aligned, and far more real than what you once thought was everything. If God stopped every painful choice before it happened, you would never truly learn discernment. Life would become a controlled experience where you are protected from every mistake, but also disconnected from every lesson. And while that might sound comforting at first, it would actually leave you emotionally unprepared for the reality of human relationships, choices, and consequences. Because wisdom is not built in comfort. It is built in experience. You would never understand who truly values you because you would never stay long enough in the wrong places to recognize the difference. You would never learn who drains you emotionally because you would never feel the exhaustion that comes from giving yourself to the wrong connection. You would never identify who confuses you because clarity often comes after confusion has already been experienced. And you would never realize who is only temporary in your story, because permanence and impermanence can only be understood through time, not theory. Sometimes God steps back, not to harm you, not to abandon you, but to grow you. That distance is not rejection, it is development. It is the space where your awareness matures, where your emotional intelligence sharpens, and where your spiritual understanding deepens. Because if every wrong turn was immediately blocked, you would never develop the inner strength to recognize those patterns on your own. Because maturity cannot be downloaded like information. It cannot be taught only through words or warnings. It has to be lived, felt, and sometimes even endured. Every mistake carries a hidden instruction. Every emotional experience carries a silent lesson. And every moment of confusion eventually leads to clarity if you are willing to reflect on it. In that process, you are not being punished. You are being prepared for a level of understanding that only experience can create. There are connections in life that feel almost divine from the very beginning, as if the universe itself has brought two souls together for something extraordinary. The emotions are strong, the bond feels immediate, and the attachment grows in a way that is hard to explain logically. These relationships often feel meant to be, as if they carry a deeper meaning that goes beyond ordinary encounters. But not everything that feels divine is designed to be permanent. These connections are intense. They pull you in emotionally, mentally, and sometimes even spiritually. They create memories that feel unforgettable and moments that feel irreplaceable. They make you believe in timing, fate, and destiny in ways you may have never believed before. But one of the most important truths in life is this: intensity is not always destiny. Just because something feels powerful does not mean it is meant to last forever. Some people enter your life not to stay, but to awaken something within you. They may awaken your emotions, your awareness, your vulnerabilities, or even your strengths that you never knew existed. They come into your story at a specific time, not to complete it, but to contribute to your growth. And once their purpose is fulfilled, once the lesson is learned, once the awakening happens, they slowly begin to exit your life, leaving behind clarity, reflection, and change. And yes, it hurts. Because human emotions do not easily separate love from loss or connection from permanence. When someone feels meaningful, their absence naturally creates pain. But even that pain is not meaningless. Even heartbreak carries instruction. Even endings carry direction. Because sometimes what breaks your heart is also what builds your understanding. In the end, not every love is meant to stay, but every love is meant to teach. And in that teaching, even loss becomes purposeful, shaping you into someone more aware, more grounded, and more prepared for what is truly meant for you. That love you went through was never meant to be the final chapter of your story. It felt like everything in the moment, like the beginning of something permanent, something you would build your future around. But in reality, it was a turning point designed to shift your direction, not define your destination. Life has a way of placing certain experiences exactly where they need to be, not to trap you, but to transform you. You are not meant to stay in confusion forever. Confusion is a temporary space, not a permanent state. It exists only until understanding begins to form, until reflection replaces emotion, and until clarity slowly rises above what once felt overwhelming. There will come a moment when everything starts to make sense, not all at once, but piece by piece. One day you will look back and realize something powerful. If God stopped it, I would have never understood myself this deeply. You will see how that experience revealed your emotional depth, your patterns, your strength, and even your weaknesses in ways nothing else could have. And what once felt like abandonment will no longer feel that way. It will feel like alignment in disguise, something that was guiding you, even while it hurt, toward a version of yourself you were always meant to become. So yes, God watched you fall in love, every moment of it, every emotion, every attachment, every confusion that came with it. And no, He didn't step in to stop it the way you might have expected Him to. Not because He was unaware, not because He didn't care, but because not every moment in life is designed to be interrupted. Some experiences are meant to unfold exactly as they are, even when they are painful, even when they are misunderstood in the moment. Because not every moment is meant to be stopped. Some are meant to shape you in ways comfort never could. Some are meant to break illusions you didn't even realize you were holding on to. And some are meant to prepare you for something real, something stable, something aligned, something that doesn't confuse your heart but strengthens it. And when you finally heal, when time gives you distance and understanding replaces emotion, you will no longer ask why God allowed it to happen. The question itself will lose its weight. Instead, you will begin to see the purpose hidden inside the pain, the lesson hidden inside the loss, and the growth hidden inside the confusion. And in that moment of clarity, you will not feel anger or regret. You will feel gratitude, because you will realize that what you once thought was breaking you was actually building you. And you will thank Him for not interfering with something that was never meant to define you, but only refine you.